see dope people. Hey everybody, it is your favorite Polymath from Brooklyn, Hayden Green, and you are back for another episode of Dope People. Whoops, wrong chest. Dope People. Oh, and for those of you who wonder, what is this term dope? It's a throwback term from the 80s and 90s where it's about somebody or something that you find interesting, that is engaging to you. And I know some dope people, and I want you to know some dope people. So I bring dope people on the show so that you can get to know them. Today, we have one of my fraternity brothers and one of my favorite fraternity brothers. I really appreciate this brother. And not just, a fraternity brother, a doctor fraternity brother. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Calvin T. Brown. Give it up. What's up, Calvin?
Hey, how you doing?
All is well. All is well. Thank you for taking some time out to talk to us. I want to jump right in it, and because I know that there's a lot of stuff that we can hear from you. So, Calvin, I always ask my guests just to calibrate, and so that my guests can understand how you're understanding the term dope. So, who is the dopest person that you know? Whether it's somebody that you met the one time or somebody that you know personally.
So I actually got to meet them one time, but corresponded through emails and like a group setting. And it might not be somebody that the broader public may know, but she's a professor. Her name is June Manning Thomas, and she's a professor of planning. She teaches at the University of Michigan in their School of Architect and Planning. But the reason why I think she's dope is because being a woman of color and in the planning field, which I am as well, she writes books, articles, and does talks that really positions Black people in this sphere, which has been predominantly dominated by white people. So to see someone being able to kind of position Black people in this field, I look up to a person like that, and just being fearless in how she framed things and talks about things and even write on the topic. So, it has to be the dopest things. Black women are saving the world, and it continues in all fields.
Yeah, absolutely. And for obvious reasons, it's important to have more Black voices in city planning because those are the times that you get different cultures and different ways of understanding what community means, and therefore building buildings and things around communities that will build that and help it to grow in an organic way. So I would definitely think that that's pretty dope.
No, definitely, definitely.
So Calvin, this is the part where everybody gets uncomfortable, but I wanted to let you know the dopest thing that I think about you, brother. You are very very busy. You are a city planner. You recently got your doctorate, and you are very involved in our fraternity. Former vice president, and but throughout it all, and you and I are, and this is why we connect, I think, so much. It's like throughout it all, you have been one of the most involved fathers that I have ever met, right? Like, we know your kids. Everybody knows your kids.
Because they always with me.
They're always with you, right? And it's not one of those things where it's they're with you and go sit over there, but they are being acculturated to what you're involved in. And so when it's time for them to be quiet, they're quiet. But when it's time for them to interact with the community, at least with our chapter, we know Jamaica and Jabari, like they're part of the chapter. And Jamaica is actually part of the Arcadettes, right?
Well,
For
she
the
was an Amiket. She was a Miket,
She's a
yeah.
new cat.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And so I see you really making sure that your children are exposed to a number of different things. And when they're not with us, Facebook and social media makes you feel like you're right there with everything. And I see what you do with them, and I see how you are making an effort to make sure that their lives are full. You're making an effort to make sure that they see you, and I just wanted to let you know you are a dope father, and I really appreciate you.
No, I listen, I appreciate it. I love my kids. My kids help me to learn and grow as a person. And just like a quick little anecdote there is that the other day, we were all together and Jabari was like, "Why they call you Dr. Brown?" And I was like, "Because I have a PhD." But I like having my kids around people who should be role models and examples, and we have to be the role models for our kids. But for him to see how we interact, to see black men engaging and the level of respect that we have for each other, I want him to see that. And the fact that he picked up on that, he was like, "They call you Dr. Brown, and why?" And it created a conversation between us. It shows me that he is observing what's going on. And that's why it's important to have my kids in those spaces to see, positivity, see black men doing things. So that's why they come along.
Yeah. And Jabari's at that age where it's like, I don't know, he's dad. I don't know what this whole doctorate thing is, but
Exactly. Like, what is that?
yeah, yeah. And so, especially when you're around us, and we try to have as much deference as we can, but like we know you from Calvin, right? Like so
Exactly.
it's kind of hard, but like I'm glad that he sees when it is time to lay on the respect and to give flowers where they're due. That we are very much appreciative of all the work that you're doing. Well, thank you so much. And again, there are some men in our chapter who are not fathers yet, but and I know they look towards you for that kind of guidance and that kind of a signpost as to how to be black men in a relationship with their children. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Look, I'm in good company. We got some good fathers in our chapters.
We do, we do, we do.
Yes,
We do.
yes.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, Calvin, I want to hear what dope thing you are doing. I know some of the things, but I'm interested to see what you're going to pick. So we'll be right back with our dope person, Dr. Calvin Brown. See you in a minute. I see dope people. Welcome back to Dope People, and I am your host, Hayden Green, Brooklyn's favorite polymath and, world renowned photographer and author of the book Smush and, Dope Apparel. I'm doing it all. I'm just throwing stuff against the wall. And if it makes it into your living room, I am happy for you. But today is about dope people, and I really want you to hear some of the things that our guest today is doing, Dr. Calvin Brown. And so, Calvin, what dope things are you up to? Whether it is something that you did one time, like, I once planned a street and they named it after me, or
That's
something that you're
forthcoming.
doing that's forthcoming. Yes. Listen, I got Green Street in Bed-Stuy. I'm gonna claim that until the wheels fall off. All right, but what or something that you do on a regular basis. So, Calvin, talk to us about what makes you dope.
So it's going to be what I do on a regular basis, my current position now. As we opened up, we talked about a woman who's in the planning field and just the lack of, people of color in the planning field. But my current role is I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Neighborhood Development, which is a small division within the Department of Small Business Services. And I run a division and we do dope things all the time. What we do is we support local community-based organizations that support commercial corridors. So being a son of Brooklyn, growing up in Brooklyn, is good to be able to work with sometimes limited capacity organizations that are trying to improve our commercial corridors and the small businesses within them by doing place based events, by doing district marketing, helping people understand what sort of services and goods they can get in these communities, and to be able to support organizations that are in Flatbush, the Caribbean. Like it feels so good to give back but to also help build the capacity of these groups. It's not like we're just giving them money and sending them on their way, but we're working with them to help them understand how they can do the same type of events that are done in Times Square and other big commercial districts so that they have those skills and to leverage the work that they're doing with us so that they can get other funding. So it feels good to be able to do that type of work as a planner. previously I was, creating frameworks for neighborhood change, whether it was like zoning changes and stuff. And those things are sometimes not tangible because you put these plans into place and then you have to wait a couple of years to see them come to fruition. But to
Yeah.
work directly with these organizations and to see how the dollar and the impact has on the work that they're able to do is absolutely dope. And especially when you can help communities of color, and help level that playing field. Listen, I'm all for it. And listen, I feel dope every time I leave work when I'm able to help organizations like that.
Listen, you talk about the impact taking a long time. I will tell you that I think that your impact happened a lot faster. And you're probably going to deny this, but we know in our neighborhood what happened. So I took Calvin on a drive-by down Flatbush Avenue a
Oh,
couple of months
yes.
ago, and I showed him. I was like, the zoning out here is ridiculous because within we were within about 4 or 5 blocks. Within 4 or 5 blocks, there were at least seven, and I pointed them all out to him. Seven weed spots, seven weed stores selling cannabis and cannabis stores, and no restaurants, and there were about 700 pharmacies, right? So I said, Calvin, like, how do what's going on with this? This is, and you talked to me, you walked me through what the zoning, how zoning worked, and about like the greatest example you gave is that some zones you could have a bicycles repair shop on one block, but you can't have a bicycle selling. You can't have somebody
Yes.
selling bicycles on that same block because the zoning isn't the same, or they couldn't be within such and such amount of feet of each other. And I thought that that really shone a light, and it looked at the work that you were doing to really, how do you build a community? Because if you buy the bike and the bike needs to be repaired, you should be able to get that repair in your community.
That makes
But
sense,
if
right?
right, if the zoning is such that it doesn't allow for that, then the zoning has to change, right? Uh,
Exactly. But
uh,
listen, the zoning that, especially for New York City, a lot of it, the last time it was changed was in 1961. So the most recent zoning change that was done in New York City, which they call the City of Yes, was to kind of look at those sort of nuances and see where those things could be course corrected so that communities can be full service, and create other opportunities for entrepreneurs who could now go into some of these brick and mortar spaces that were vacant because there just wasn't a demand for a certain type of use, or it wasn't allowed because of the zoning. So sometimes things are slowly but surely, but to be full circle, this is the reason why you have to have people that look like me with the heavy melanin in the room, because sometimes you have to be able to give that lived experience, because what works in Flatbush does not work downtown Brooklyn.
right.
What works in downtown Brooklyn doesn't work in Flatbush. So you to have people to say, hey, these are the type of businesses that thrive in this community. How can we get some of those businesses in those spaces so that they can support the needs of the community that they're within?
Right, and the conversation that we had in the car was that the cannabis stores seem to be flying above all the zoning, right?
Yeah.
It was the one thing that didn't seem to be abiding by any kind of zoning, and it was hurting our communities. We wanted other stores in those places, but every time a store went down, the next thing that popped up was a cannabis store. And
And not to get nerdy in it, but you pulling me in there, bro. Sorry. It's about the use. So
yeah,
there's things when it comes to zoning, it's about the bulk, right? How big it is, how what the size of it, but it's about the land use. And that was the sort of the loophole that these cannabis shops were going, because they were being touted as stores. And because this policy around cannabis and the legalization of it is so new, they were able to kind of slide through that sort of loophole and tout themselves as convenience stores when they're selling these cannabis, items and things. So the city has, padlocks those many of those illegal ones that are not licensed because of incidents that, related to deaths, because they were not being regulated under the current policy.
well, I credit that drive by, that not drive by, that drive through that you and I did, because four of those shops are now gone.
Yep,
And
going.
we now have a restaurant, we now have a bodega, we have a tailor in another one of them, and the other one is still empty. But again, those are things that the community actually needs. We didn't need another smoke shop, right? But
Exactly.
I just want to thank you for doing the work that you do, because it does take somebody with an understanding of the community to really talk to all of the different ways that the business districts can benefit the community, and therefore the community support the business district, and these small businesses can grow. All
Listen,
right.
I love the work.
Yeah, yeah, I know it. I know it. All right. So the next thing that we do, we always end the show with a dope moment in history, or a dope person in history. And you're a Sigma, I'm a Sigma, so we gotta talk about a Sigma. And the person that we're gonna talk about today is the one person, the only person um who was able to win a Super Bowl, was the Super Bowl MVP, was the NFL MVP, and had the rushing title all in one year.
Emmett Smith?
Emmett Smith. Ding, 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 ding. Emmett Smith. In 1993, Emmett Smith was on fire, right? So he did all of those things, and to this day, he is still the only person who has ever done all of those things. So
Wow. See,
Emmett
Sigmas are
Smith,
dope.
Here's a joke. Here's another fact about Emmett Smith. Emmett Smith is one of only two people who are not kickers in the NFL to amass 1,000 points. Right. So
Wow. Yeah.
and do you know who the other person to amass 1,000 points who was not a kicker is?
It can't be Jerry Rice. I can't be
It is
that.
Jerry
Oh
Rice.
my god.
Two Sigmas.
Yeah.
Two Sigmas. So that's your
I'm on a
information
winning
for the
streak.
You're on a yeah, you gotta go play the lotto now.
I know, right?
Well, listen, Calvin, it has been amazing to have you on. If people are looking for you to try to get in contact with you, whether it is in an official capacity or just socially, how do people reach you?
Oh, I don't know any of my handles, but I do work at the Department of City Planning. So, I mean, sorry, at the Department of Small Business Services. And, I can be reached either on the website or through my email, which is cbrown@sbs.nyc.gov. I can answer any of your questions related to, small businesses, but I can also direct you to other services that SBS has and other divisions, which is related to MWBEs for, Black and minority owned entrepreneurs who would like to get into business, or if you're trying to open up a business to what that sort of path look like, and there's people here that can walk you through that path, so just reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Calvin. And for those of you who are watching, please like, subscribe, save, share, do all the things. And if you know somebody who is a dope person who I should be interviewing, please get them in contact with me, and we will get them on the show. But until then, Calvin, thank you so much for your time. Say hello to your
Appreciate it.
kids. And until next week, when we have another dope person, y'all go forth and be dope. And we will catch you next week.